Agonized human screams echoed through the Pakled torture chamber as the sadistic alien Emperor Boron turned the neural agony device up to maximum, sending searing jolts of excruciating pain through 12-year-old Keith Coleman's body. But no matter how much they tortured the boy, he refused to reveal the secret of humanity's rumored doomsday weapon. In the vast reaches of uncharted space, an urgent distress signal pinged across the comm systems of an ancient human fleet, reaching the bridge of Admiral Jared Coleman's flagship. Admiral Coleman stiffened in his command chair as he read the message detailing the abduction and torture of his grandson Keith by the ruthless Pakled Empire. The Pakleds, a cruel galactic civilization built on conquest and subjugation, had long viewed the fractured remnants of humanity as an inferior species ripe for extermination or enslavement. When whispers reached the Pakled Emperor of a long-lost human weapon capable of annihilating entire star systems, they set out to capture a human child to torture the information out of. Decades ago, Admiral Coleman made the difficult decision to lead a mass human exodus from Earth, fleeing a cataclysmic war that threatened the survival of the species. He took his fleet, his family, and as many refugees as he could save on a perilous journey deep into the uncharted void of space, losing all contact with the rest of humankind. Over generations in isolation, Coleman's fleet survived against all odds, their advanced technology and warships growing ever more powerful as Earth and the location of other lost human colonies faded into distant memory. Admiral Coleman knew he might be the only one who could save his grandson, and this was perhaps humanity's best chance to strike back against their alien tormentors. His eyes hardened with grim resolve as he clutched the distress signal and addressed his battle-hardened bridge crew to prepare for war. "On board the Pakled mothership," Emperor Boron snarled in frustration as Keith Coleman endured round after round of brutal torture. The human boy's anguished cries reverberated through the dark chamber, his agony amplified and broadcast to the entire Pakled fleet as a show of the Emperor's merciless interrogation. But even as Keith begged for the pain to stop, he refused to betray his species, keeping the secrets of the human doomsday weapon locked away. Admiral Jared Coleman's heart pounds in his chest as his fleet drops out of warp in the Pakled Emperor's home system. His eyes narrow at the sight of the massive Pakled armada arrayed before them, a daunting wall of alien ships jam-packed with weapons. He steels himself, knowing that this is the moment he's been waiting for, the chance to save his grandson and strike a blow against the Pakled Empire's cruelty. "This is Admiral Jared Coleman of the human fleet," he broadcasts on all frequencies, his voice steady and commanding. "Emperor Boron, you have taken my grandson and subjected him to unspeakable torture. I demand his immediate release and an end to your brutal campaign against humanity. Failure to comply will result in the full force of our fleet being brought to bear against you." The response is swift and vicious. Emperor Boron's enraged face appears on the display, his features contorted with rage. "You dare make demands of me, human filth?" he snarls. "Your pathetic fleet is no match for the might of the Pakled Empire. We will crush you like the insects you are and take great pleasure in exterminating your species once and for all. All ships, engage the enemy." The Pakled armada surges forward, a seething mass of warships intent on annihilating the human fleet. Admiral Coleman grits his teeth and gives the order to engage, knowing that the odds are stacked heavily against them. The human ships, though outnumbered, are armed with advanced technology salvaged from the ruins of Earth. Shields that can withstand the onslaught of Pakled weapons and powerful energy cannons capable of slicing through enemy hulls easily. The battle erupts in a maelstrom of fire and destruction, the void of space lit up by the flashes of exploding ships and the crisscrossing beams of deadly energy weapons. The human fleet fights with a ferocity born of desperation, their persistence to save Keith and strike a blow against Pakled tyranny, driving them to push their ships and crews to the limit. Fighters dart and weave among the capital ships, engaging in daring dogfights as they strafe enemy vessels with rapid-fire bursts. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Coleman directs the battle with a calm intensity, his mind racing as he analyzes the ebb and flow of the fight. The losses mount on both sides, the wreckage of destroyed ships littering the battlefield, but the humans hold their own against the overwhelming numbers of the Pac-led armada. Meanwhile, a covert strike team, led by Lieutenant Marcus Reeves, infiltrates the Pac-led Emperor's palace, fighting their way through layers of heavily armed security with ruthless efficiency. They breach the torture chamber where Keith is being held, engaging Boron's elite guards in a fierce firefight. Laser bolts fill the air, scorching the walls and leaving the stench of ozone in their wake. Emperor Boron, seeing his prize slipping away, makes a last-ditch effort to break Keith's will. He subjects the boy to a mind probe, a cruel device designed to forcibly extract information directly from the victim's brain. Keith screams in agony as the probe assaults his mind, ripping through his memories and thoughts with merciless precision. His sanity teeters on the brink of shattering under the relentless intrusion. Just as Keith feels his grip on reality slipping away, the strike team bursts into the chamber in a hail of gunfire. Marcus Reeves charges forward, engaging Emperor Boron in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. The two warriors trade blows, their movements a blur of striking fists and whirling kicks. The rest of the team fights desperately to reach Keith, battling the remaining guards and racing against time to free him from the mind probe before it's too late. In a high-stakes endeavor, Admiral Coleman seizes an opening in the Pac-led lines and orders his flagship to break through, launching a precision strike on the palace's power core. The resulting explosion rocks the foundation, crippling the palace's defenses and disrupting the mind probe's power supply. Marcus Reeves, seizing the momentary advantage, overpowers Emperor Boron and forces him to surrender at gunpoint. With Keith rescued and Boron captured, the strike team moves quickly to extract them, fighting their way back to their waiting shuttle. Admiral Coleman's battered fleet covers their escape, engaging in a fighting retreat to buy time for the team's departure. The human ships form a protective cordon around the shuttle, their weapons blazing as they hold off the pursuing Pac-led forces. As the shuttle docks with the flagship and the fleet jumps to the safety of warp, the Pac-led empire is left reeling from the stunning defeat. News of Emperor Boron's capture spreads like wildfire, sparking hope among the oppressed human colonies and sowing discord within the Pac-led ranks. Admiral Coleman's fleet dropped out of warp near the secret human colony, a hidden sanctuary nestled among the stars at the galaxy's edge. The colony's defenses scanned and verified the fleet before granting clearance to approach. As the ships docked, medical teams rushed aboard to tend to the wounded. Keith Coleman, barely conscious, was whisked away on a hovering stretcher to the colony's advanced medical facility. Admiral Coleman watched his grandson disappear through the airlock, his face etched with worry. "Get him stabilized," Coleman ordered the chief medical officer. "I want hourly updates on his condition." In the days that followed, Keith underwent intensive treatment. Nanobots worked tirelessly to repair the physical damage inflicted by the Pac-led torture, while holographic therapists helped him process the psychological trauma. During one session, Keith's eyes snapped open, unfocused and wild. "The weapon," he rasped. "I saw it in my mind." The therapist leaned forward. "What weapon, Keith?" Keith's words tumbled out in a frantic stream. "A planet, hidden, can destroy stars." He clutched his head, wincing. "The Pac-leds, they tore it from my thoughts." Word of Keith's revelation spread quickly. Admiral Coleman convened an emergency meeting with his top officers. "We can't let the Pac-leds get their hands on this superweapon," Coleman said, pacing the war room. "Lieutenant Reeves, I'm tasking you with leading a strike team to locate and secure it." Reeves nodded, his expression grim. "We'll need every scrap of intel we can get from Keith's fractured memories." As Reeves assembled his team and pored over the fragmented data, reports flooded in of chaos erupting across Pac-led space. The capture of Emperor Boron had left a power vacuum, and rival factions clashed for control. One name rose above the others: Warlord Zyrax. His forces launched brutal attacks on human settlements, searching for any clue to the superweapon's location. Reeves and his team boarded their stealth ship, the Shadowhawk, and plunged into the uncharted depths of space. For weeks, they followed the breadcrumbs of Keith's memories, investigating countless dead ends. Finally, they stumbled upon an ancient derelict, a human vessel that predated their exodus from Earth. As they boarded, the ship's systems flickered to life, holographic star charts materializing before them. There, Reeves pointed to a nondescript planet. That has to be it. They approached the barren world cautiously, scanning for signs of life or technology. Finding nothing, they touched down on the wind-swept surface. No sooner had they exited their ship than the ground beneath them shuddered. A massive door irised open, nearly swallowing the Shadowhawk. Reeves and his team found themselves plummeting into darkness. They landed hard on a metal floor. Lights flickered on, revealing a vast underground complex. As they pushed deeper into the facility, they encountered increasingly deadly defenses, energy fields, automated turrets, and swarms of killer drones. Our own ancestors built this, Reeves marveled as they fought their way through. What were they trying to protect? They finally reached a massive vault door. It took hours to crack the ancient security protocols, but at last it swung open to reveal the superweapon, a device that pulsed with barely contained stellar energy. Before they could secure it, alarms blared. Warlord Zyrax's ships had followed them, somehow tracking their journey through uncharted space. The Pakled forces swarmed the planet's surface, determined to claim the weapon for themselves. As Reeves and his team prepared for battle, they knew the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Back at the human colony, Admiral Coleman grimly watched as the Pakled armada appeared on long-range scanners. He turned to his bridge crew, his voice steady despite the odds against them. "All hands to battle stations," he ordered. "We hold the line until that weapon is secure." The colony's shields flared to life as the first volley of Pakled fire rained down upon them. The battle for humanity's future had begun. The air in the underground facility crackled with tension as Marcus Reeves and his team huddled behind makeshift barricades. Laser fire sizzled overhead, scorching the ancient walls. "They just keep coming!" shouted Corporal Chen, her rifle blazing as she took down another Pakled soldier. Reeves gritted his teeth. "Hold the line. We can't let them get to the weapon." A deafening explosion rocked the chamber as a Pakled grenade detonated nearby. Debris rained down, forcing the humans to duck for cover. Through the smoke, Reeves spotted a hulking figure, Warlord Zyrax himself, leading the charge. The Pakled commander's eyes gleamed with cruel hunger as he advanced. "Fall back to the inner chamber," Reeves ordered. His team retreated, laying down covering fire. They reached the heart of the facility where the superweapon sat dormant. Its crystalline structure pulsed with latent energy. "How do we activate this thing?" demanded Sergeant Ortiz. Reeves's hands flew over the alien controls. "Cover me." As his team held off the Pakled onslaught, Reeves input the activation sequence Keith had described. The weapon hummed to life, energy building to a crescendo. Just as Zyrax breached the chamber, Reeves slammed his hand on the firing control. A blinding beam of pure energy lanced out, punching through layers of rock and metal. The beam struck Zyrax's orbiting flagship, vaporizing it instantly. Secondary explosions rippled through the Pakled fleet as the energy discharge chained from ship to ship. "Holy shit!" breathed Chen. Reeves didn't wait to admire their handiwork. "Grab the control module and move. This whole place is coming down." They sprinted through collapsing tunnels, debris raining around them. The portable control module, no larger than a briefcase, felt impossibly heavy in Reeves's arms. They emerged onto the planet's barren surface just as the ground caved in behind them. Their shuttle waited, engines hot. "Go, go, go!" Reeves shouted as they piled in. The shuttle rocketed into orbit, dodging debris from destroyed Pakled ships. Admiral Coleman's battered fleet hung in high orbit, still trading fire with the remnants of Zyrax's forces. "Shadowhawk to victory," Reeves hailed the flagship. "Package secure. Request immediate extraction." "Copy that, Shadowhawk," came the reply. "Docking bay is clear. Welcome home." As soon as they were aboard, Coleman wasted no time. He took personal command of the superweapon, studying the alien controls with laser focus. All ships, form up on Victory, he ordered. Prepare to engage hostiles. The superweapon's energy built once more. This time, Coleman targeted the Pakled fleet's command and control nodes. Precision strikes crippled their ability to coordinate, leaving them easy prey for the human warships. Victory was at hand, but it proved short-lived. New contacts appeared on sensors, a massive armada dropping out of FTL. At their head, a sleek dagger of a ship that dwarfed even Coleman's flagship. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, voice tight with fear, "it's Grand Admiral Vortic." Coleman's eyes sharp. They'd barely survived one Pakled fleet. There was no way they could take on a second, especially one led by Vortic's infamous cunning. "All ships, fall back," he ordered. "Prepare for emergency jump." As Vortic's fleet closed in, Coleman made a snap decision. He poured the superweapon's energy into a massive shockwave. The pulse of raw power washed over Vortic's ships, temporarily scrambling their systems. "Now jump!" Coleman bellowed. In a flash of pseudo-motion, the battered human fleet vanished into FTL, leaving the furious Pakled armada behind. They emerged in the heart of a swirling nebula, gases of 1,000 hues dancing around them. "Status report," Coleman demanded. "Multiple hull breaches," came the reply. "Weapons at 30% capacity, shields critical. FTL drive needs a full restart before we can jump again." Coleman nodded grimly. They needed time to lick their wounds. He turned to Reeves. "Can we use the weapon to hide us?" Reeves consulted the control module. "Yes, sir. I can reconfigure it to bend light and energy around us. We'll be invisible as long as the power holds out." "Do it," Coleman ordered. For a brief moment, it seemed they might have found sanctuary, but mere hours later, alarms blared. "Pakled signatures detected," shouted the sensor officer. "It's Vortic. He's found us." Coleman's mind raced. They couldn't run, couldn't fight. There was only one option left, no matter how insane. "Keith," he called to his grandson, "I need your expertise. We're going to use this weapon one last time, to ignite the nebula itself." Keith's eyes widened. "You want to create a supernova? Sir, the energy release would be enormous," Coleman finished. "Enough to power a slipstream drive that can take us beyond Pakled space entirely." It was their only chance. As Vortic's fleet closed in for the kill, humans raced to reconfigure the superweapon and jury-rig a slipstream drive. Keith worked feverishly alongside the engineering team, his intimate knowledge of the weapon proving crucial. "Energy buildup at 80%, he reported. 90, 95. On the bridge, Coleman watched Vortic's ships appear through the swirling gases. His hand hovered over the firing control. "All or nothing," he murmured. Coleman's finger slammed down on the firing control. The superweapon surged to life, its energy pulsing through the ship. Keith rushed to the bridge, his hands shaking but his eyes clear. "I can help optimize the weapon's output," he said, stepping up to the console. Coleman nodded, moving aside. "Do it." Keith's fingers flew across the controls, making minute adjustments. The ship vibrated as the weapon's power increased. Outside, the nebula's gases began to swirl and churn. "Pakled ships incoming," the tactical officer shouted. "Grand Admiral Vortic's fleet is on an intercept course." "All ships, take defensive positions," Coleman ordered. "Prepare to initiate the cascade." The human fleet spread out, surrounding the nebula's volatile core. Keith worked feverishly, sweat beading on his forehead as he fine-tuned the superweapon's energy output. "Ready, sir," he reported. Coleman took a deep breath. "Fire." A beam of pure energy lanced out from the flagship, striking the core of the nebula. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the gases erupted in a violent explosion of light and heat. "It's working!" Keith exclaimed. "The cascade is beginning." The nebula churned, waves of plasma washing over the human ships. Their shields flared as they struggled to maintain position. Suddenly, the bridge rocked violently. Sparks flew from consoles as crew members were thrown to the floor. "We've been hit!" the tactical officer yelled. "Pakled barrage, port side!" Through the view screen, Coleman saw Vortic's ships emerge from the swirling chaos, weapons blazing. The human fleet returned fire, but they were badly outnumbered. "Sir, we've lost engines," the helm officer reported. "Hull breach on decks 5 through 8. Coleman's mind raced. They needed more time for the supernova to reach critical mass. He opened a channel to the rest of the fleet. "This is Admiral Coleman. All ships concentrate fire on Vortic's flagship. We need to buy time." As the battle raged, Lieutenant Reeves's voice crackled over the comm. "Admiral, we're coming aboard to evacuate you and the crew. Prepare for emergency transport." Coleman looked around at his bridge crew, their faces streaked with blood and soot. He made his decision. "Negative, Lieutenant. Get the rest of the crew out. I'm staying to ensure the weapon fires." "But, sir..." "That's an order, Reeves. Get my people to safety." The ship shuddered again as another volley struck. Coleman stumbled, catching himself on a nearby console. Pain lanced through his side. He was hit. Reeves and his team fought their way through the burning corridors, evacuating crew members as they went. They reached the bridge to find Coleman slumped over the weapons console, blood pooling beneath him. "Admiral!" Reeves rushed to his side. Coleman grabbed Reeves's arm, his grip surprisingly strong. "The weapon, you have to fire it. The cascade is almost complete." Reeves's eyes widened. "Sir, we can't leave you." "Listen to me," Coleman interrupted, his voice weak but urgent. "You have to take command now. Get our people out of here. Use the supernova's energy for the slipstream jump. It's our only chance." Reeves swallowed hard, then nodded. "I understand, sir. We won't let you down." Coleman smiled faintly. "I know you won't. Now go. Save our people." With a heavy heart, Reeves gave the order to abandon ship. As the last of the crew transported away, he took one final look at Admiral Coleman's still form before beaming to his own vessel. "This is Acting Fleet Commander Reeves," he announced over the fleet-wide channel. "All ships prepare for slipstream jump on my mark." The nebula had become a raging inferno. Vortic's ships pressed their attack, desperate to stop what was coming, but it was too late. "Now!" Reeves shouted. The human ships activated their hastily constructed slipstream drives, channeling the awesome power of the newborn supernova. In a blinding flash of light, they vanished, leaving behind the doomed Pakled fleet and the exploding nebula. When they emerged, the stars were unfamiliar. They had traveled further than any human had before. "Status report," Reeves called out, his voice hoarse. "Multiple ships reporting heavy damage," came the response. "But we made it, sir. We're clear of Pakled space." Reeves closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders. When he opened them again, his gaze was steady. "Begin damage assessment and casualty reports," he ordered, "and start scanning for habitable systems. We need to find a place to regroup and make repairs." As the fleet drifted in the vast unknown, Reeves stood at the view screen, staring out at the unfamiliar stars. They had escaped, but at a terrible cost. Admiral Coleman was gone, along with countless others. Keith approached, his face haggard but his eyes clear. "What now, sir?" Reeves turned to face the survivors gathered on the bridge. "Now we rebuild. We honor those we've lost by ensuring their sacrifice wasn't in vain, and one day we'll return to reclaim what's ours." The crew straightened, a spark of hope kindling in their eyes. They had lost much, but they were still here, still fighting. And as long as humanity endured, there was hope.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.